Monster Hunter Rise Great Sword! Best build. Let's do this thing, and oh, I am excited. Welcome ye all wielders of the best weapon, the biggest sword, the highest number hitting stick that so beautifully compensates for that empty feeling inside. So, when it comes to Greatsword in Rise then, the step one for every build is the weapon itself. Now, of course, we're already using the best weapon, but what's the best version of the best weapon? Well, it comes down to four main choices. You have your Nargacuga, the Dark of Night, Diablos, the Feud Horn Sword, the Abominable Greatsword, Gos Harag, and the Tigrex Greatsword. Tigrex. Really dropped off a cliff there, naming-wise, didn't it? Now, in order to work out which is best, we have to do a little bit of maths. So, essentially, it's the roar of the weapon, which now in Rise is true. The number on the sword is the number that you actually get. There's no bloat, which is lovely. Well, it's that times the sharpness modifier, 1.2 for blue, 1.32 for white, and then, finally, it's allowing for whatever the affinity, positive or negative, does. And to give the affinity a little bit of an expansion, a crit is plus 25% damage. So if a weapon has 100% affinity, well, that adds 25% damage to the weapon. If it has negative 100% affinity, well, that takes 25% damage off the weapon. So I just allow for a portion of that relative to what's on the weapon. The TLDR is this. Nargacuga coming in at 269.
Nice.
Diablos coming in at 264, Gos Harag at 268, and Tigrex at 277. In all of these cases, I have allowed for the best ramp-up skill you would use on them. With Nargacuga, it's a bit of raw. With the Horn Sword and the Abominable, it's a bit of affinity. And with Tigrex, it's again a bit of raw. So these numbers are very good for us. And instinctively, you'd be like, alright, let's use the Tigrex Greatsword then. Well, set building in Rise is a little bit, trickier, isn't that right, Hammond? Because every skill we care about, attack, critical eye, focus, well, it's been moved to 2-slot. Granted, focus was already a 2-slot, but the point is, we don't have 1 slots really to boost the power of the set, so 2 slots are king. And this is kind of interesting. It means that the 2 slots on the Gos Harag and Naga are incredibly valuable. It also means then that Tigrex not having one is a big downside. We also have a tiny bit of ice on Gos Harag, which is just a bonus here, as non-elemental boost is only found on the Rampage weapon, which just can't compete with these guys. So that's kinda nice. So which Greatsword to use? Well, Diablos can be eliminated straight away, as it's essentially just worse Gos Harag. It can get to white sharpness, but it requires such a handicraft investment that, well, now your build is handicapped, and there's just no room left to get the other skills that will make it not get beaten by the other 3 with said skills. This leaves 3. And which of the 3 you choose is, honestly, perhaps personal preference. In fact, we'll return to the Greatswords once we've looked at the set that we would use with all of them. So when choosing a set then, we want the most valuable skills to damage increase ratio. Well, what do I mean? Weakness Exploit level 3 is plus 50% affinity. With a crit being plus 25% damage, critting half the time is plus 12.5% damage on average. That's a really big bump. But attack is changed and is exceptional for everyone, but very much for Greatsword, because we like our raw and we like scaling very much. Plus 10 raw is nice, though less than it used to be, but it also gives plus 10% damage, which makes it one of, if not the most valuable pure damage up skills in the game. The TLDR is always get 3 weakness exploit first. That's 12.5% and really good. Then you always want at least 4 attack next. The raw plus the 5% is again really good. Then, if you are over 50% affinity and can fit crit boost without dropping attack or weakness exploit, then that's the way to go. If, however, you're under 50% affinity, well then the last 3 ranks of attack are much more worthwhile. That's kind of the core set building ethos that is currently it in Rise. And this is for the essentially non-conditional passive skills. Obviously stuff like Heroics is plus 30%, or Offensive Guard at plus 15%, or, you know, you could argue the 25 Raw from Resentment, but skills that require you to do something that isn't just normally hunt, I have not included in this list because they're not something I'm going to recommend for just a normal, passive, good, well, best hunting greatsword set. So you may be thinking then, well, if we're going for weakness exploit, which is 50%, then obviously we want crit boost before we want attack. Yes, in theory, but because there is no crit boost decoration and because there is no weakness exploit decoration, seriously, there isn't. What the hell, Hammon? The only way to get crit boost then is from a lucky talisman meld or from using Rajang Legs and Waist. And if we use Rajang Legs and Waist, there is not enough space left in the rest of the armor set to overall get more damage than if we ignored crit boost altogether and went for the weakness exploit and full attack route, which is indeed the route we will take. So, with that justification in place, let's actually finally reveal the set. We are rocking the Ingot Legs for 2 attack, 2 crit eye, the Spear Waist for 2 weakness exploit, and if you don't recognize the waist or the chest, you unlock it via farming with Rondine. There is a full guide up on the channel for that. The Vike chest is essentially just template armor that comes with no skills, but a bunch of slots for us to customize as we will, and this is key for this set. And then the Magnum Aloe helmet for a 2-slot bit of handicraft and a bit of resentment. Truthfully, this helmet can be any helmet with a 2-slot, but 1 rank of resentment and handicraft is by far the most useful skills to get from any of the helmets in the game for this set. And let me just tell you, this comes together to look, actually, with the layered legs, really quite amazing. Combine this with a weakness exploit talisman that has at least a 2-slot, which is fairly reliable. Seriously, just go to the melder and keep chain melding while requesting weakness exploit, and you will get this soon-ish. I've had 6 of them so far. It's common enough that I feel comfortable recommending a set that requires it. Anything more extreme than this is just pure insane chance, and if you get it, well then adjust the set to mirror that, but it's not something that I can just be like, yeah, just get a 3 weakness exploit, 3 attack talisman with 2 2-slots and make God in your armor. You know, it's not quite how it works. So, all said and done, this set leaves us with 4 attack, 3 weakness exploit, 2 critical eye, a resentment, a handicraft, and a flinch free for free. It also comes with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 2-slots that really make it pop. Leaving us, once we have decorated in 3 focus and 3 attack, well, 7 attack, 3 weakness exploit, 3 focus, 2 crit eye, 1 resentment, 1 handicraft, and 1 flinch free for free. But of course, your eye may be drawn then to focus. It's 15% faster charging, which equates to 0.25-ish seconds off of your true charge, or 0.33 seconds off of your Rage Slash, and this, while seemingly tiny in number form, is actually a huge difference. Giving the monster that much less time to hit you is a very good thing, and in terms of Rage Slash's case, well, giving the monster less time to hit you a second time after the first hit is also a very, very good thing. Also, it cannot be stressed enough just how much more fun and fast and fluid Greatsword feels with focus. It is 3 out of 3 ranks of pure enjoyment increasing, and I cannot recommend it enough. It's not certainly mandatory, but then again, no skill is, but it is incredibly good for greasing the wheels of this fantastic weapon. Now, you notice there I was being all like, well, Rage Slash or True Charge, well, obviously now we have to talk about switch skills when we talk about builds in Rise. Fortunately, this is a very straightforward, just pump damage build, so there isn't a requirement for a switch skill. There isn't one that chiefly makes it work. When it comes to tackle or guard tackle, it's your choice. I think tackle is much better. I mean, I have a 36-minute greatsword guide going over every little detail of everything that is greatsword, including the switch skills, and you can find that down below. But TLDR, tackle is mostly better in nearly every situation. I would recommend it. Adamant Charge Slash is mostly better in every situation. I would recommend it. But the big choice is, of course, True Charge or Rage Slash. Both are fantastic, but I would heartily recommend Rage Slash. Not only is it an incredibly fun and satisfying playstyle, it is just better. Unless you never get hit out of True Charge, you are going to have more effective, more powerful, faster hunts with Rage Slash. Being able to just tank a monster hit for 30% reduced damage and then return with a hit that is almost just 10% shy of a True Charge cannot be overestimated. Plus, the resentment on the set from the Magna Malo helm means that that +5 raw will always be active because you will have red health when returning a Rage Slash. Other than that then, we have ourselves a return to the greatsword choice. And I just want to throw in a quick bonus tip here that while I'm very happy with this fairly speedy Rajang hunt, I did cart here, and you'll notice that I just managed to start the animation for Power Sheath to try and escape, but if I'd instead gone for Adamant Charge Slash, I would have engaged a 30% damage reduction and survived. So there really is a lot to think about when using this weapon, and I think that's very cool. So, 7 attack, 3 exploit, 3 focus, 2 crit eye, a resentment, and a handicraft, and a flinch free for free. That is pretty damn good. And then some 1 slots to do what you like with. I would recommend speed sharpening or perhaps ice attack if you are thinking of the Gos Harag route, but in any case they're very much up to you, whatever you think will fit your playstyle. So if we apply these skills to the greatswords, what changes? Well, it's quite an interesting picture. If we compare Nagakuga and Gos Harag, they end up essentially identical. 363 versus 364. Now, the tiny amount of ice on Gos Harag means that it does overtake the Nagakuga, so yeah, Nagakuga is out. Tigrex, though, well, this is a bigger difference. 372 on the Tigrex versus the, well, now mere 363 on the Gos Harag. Tigrex being able to get 8 extra raw on top of white from its already hefty base white thanks to its ramp up is really quite the boon. And even though you can only get 6 attack instead of 7 because the Tigrex Greatsword is lacking a 2 slot so you can't quite finish attack, well, it still outpaces it. Now, there are a few mitigating factors. The main one is sharpness. Gos Harag has double the blue that Tigrex has white, and Tigrex, when it goes down to blue, is absolutely pathetic. So you are going to be sharpening not just twice as much on Tigrex, but 3 times as much, because the 1 rank of handicraft does nothing for Tigrex. However, it does give Gos 10 more hits. Now, technically, you could do something like wear the Baroth helm, which comes with a attack and a 2 slot, give up the resentment and the handicraft to finish attack on the Tigrex, which by the way comes out at again 372, but it does give you an extra 2 slot to do something with, like 5% more affinity, which is nice. So yeah, Tigrex is sadly really quite good, especially if you don't care about focus, because then you have, well, 3 more slots opened up for even more affinity. But there is that second mitigating factor. The second mitigating factor is Gos is an amazing new monster with an amazing new greatsword, and for God's sake, I am sick of Tigrex always being the best greatsword in the old games! Well, not every time, but so many of the times! Oh! Look, the bottom line here is I prefer using Gos because the difference is within a couple of percent, and I just like it. But if you are truly wanting to min-max, then Tigrex is the way to go. But that is if that is your preference. At the very least, greatsword aside, you will be using this. And it is very very good. Sadly, full affinity crit boost just does not pull the same numbers, so until we get better armor or access to weakness exploit and crit boost decorations, there really isn't a better way to get the most bang for your buck across your armor set as a greatsword user. There are a few niche ways to play, other builds, there's even a heroics build, we can do an offensive guard build, we can do critical draw, but in terms of just normal, good old-fashioned greatsword playstyle, this is the one. And if you want to know how best to play greatsword, well, there is a 36-minute long, so maybe a couple sittings, guide that I have made covering absolutely everything in depth, right down to the numbers the game just doesn't tell you. So I would heartily recommend you check it out. It will be linked in the description. Until then, guys, happy slashing or charging, depending on which is your poison, and enjoy your big sword whacker of sword whackeriness. Like if you enjoyed this, subscribe for more, and I will see you soon. A goodbye.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.